Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Great to be with you. The show, of course, is headed for another disastrous day. You hate Pittsburgh.
It's Roberto Clemente. I'm okay wearing that. It's number 21. I'm okay with the Clemente.
Oh, boy. By the way, on-field logos for Tennessee. The first school to do it, 20-year deal with Pilot.
All right.
You see all the travel centers all over. Mm-hmm. That's right. You don't go anywhere. I think the closest Pilot to here, there's one in Bellefonte and there's one in Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar, yep.
Mm-hmm. And the money from Pilot will help benefit the renovation project that Neyland Stadium's going through. So they're the first ones to get that across the country. There'll be more of these as time goes. It is... I don't like the fact that when they sat there and did and decided to allow logos on the field beyond that of a corporate partner, like, for example, Alaska Airlines is a deep corporate partner of Washington football. That's why the logo's on the field, okay? That was allowed. But now you get to change them in, change them out per game, or have just one for the season. Well, it's a 20-year deal with Pilot to be a part of the field logo at Tennessee. The part that I didn't like was the fact that they did, see, you're wearing your Pittsburgh shirt today, okay? Well, the Pirates were able to get a deal with Sheets to put the logo on the jersey, just like Star Insurance is on the Yankees jersey. Vista Print is on the Celtics jersey. They're not obnoxious, and of course we're dealing with a fan base, the older part of the fan base of Penn State that was horrified by the Nike logo. I'm like, well, what do you think's providing the uniforms? What do you think, Penn State paid for those?
Exactly.
Au contraire, mon frere. Like, would you like to not have the logo and pay for them? What business are you running? So, you've got to be able to come up with, in this era, money.
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay? You have to. It's part of the business of it. I could care less if there's a logo on the field. I could care less if there's a logo on the jersey. Right? Is it at very least paying for things that help out? Beaver Stadium, they're already working on the egress issues at the stadium. And it's not just your ability to get in. Let's get to something, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's use a relatively benign example of something I had to live through. And that is the game at Michigan State when they had lightning and the power outage. Well, they had to evacuate the stadium. Okay? Now they finally, after 3 hours plus, they resumed the game. But they had to evacuate the stadium because of lightning. Okay. Well, guess what? By doing what they're doing at Beaver Stadium right now, your ability to exit the stadium will be exponentially easier and make it safer for you. It's things like that they are doing that are a big plus that you don't see maybe in some other places across the country. And that will help. And that's part of what they're doing right now. Now, the video board and things like that, look, for Playfly, they'll be able to put the advertising up there they want, which, by the way, people, look at all the advertising. Well, what do you think? Where do you think the money's going? They're paying. It's paying for stuff. And believe me, the Playfly deal has been internally brought up several times in conversations because of the money involved in the play-fly deal. Okay? And what's one of the keys to the play-fly deal? You don't have to pay it.
Exactly.
All right? In other words, that's all. They don't have to go and ask for donations and things like that. You already donate enough money. You donate a lot of money. All of you. You donate your money. Whatever it happens to be in your whatever you're comfortable with or works for you economically. Well, when you make a deal with Playfly, for example, okay, that's an 8-figure deal per year. So Penn State doesn't have to go in search of those 8 figures. Oh, and by the way, it's way north of $10 million. But okay, way north. And that's per year. And that's what these deals mean. So don't, they put ads on the board, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay? Don't get all hung up on stuff like that. Now, when they were asking me about the ribbon boards, what would I like to see in the ribbon boards besides ads? And I said, you need to put up scores of other games. Fans want to know scores of other games. They want to know scores of other games in relation to where Penn State's standing happens to be, but they also want to know scores of other games because guess what? We are in a world where it is legal to put a little wager down. Or in your case, big wagers. You're scary. Right, but you see what I'm saying. I mean, that's
absolutely.
That makes it a fan-friendly deal, because I think that's one of the bigger complaints I get from people. Saying, I wish they would put or say more scores. I said, no, you're right.
Yeah,
you're not incorrect.
1,000% agree. Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it's not just the people that place the wagers. People want to know the score. You're there.
No, that's why the first part I said. Where does Penn State relate to? Here are the Big Ten scores. Here are the top 10 scores.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
top 10. Yeah. Alabama's playing Georgia same time Penn State's got a game. They want to know the Alabama-Georgia score. Most people that are in that stadium are not just Penn State football fans; they're football fans.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right.
They're waiting to see, what the score of a game of that magnitude is. Absolutely.
I remember being in the stadium when, who was the public? It was before Kevin Nelson. It was in the 70s. And guy left and took a job in Oklahoma after working here. Great voice, great guy. And I remember Matt Suey ran back a punt for a touchdown against NC State that essentially put the game away. It was 19-10. And then they announced that Nebraska beat Oklahoma. And Oklahoma had been number one. And it meant for the first time ever, everybody looked around and was like, my goodness, Penn State's going to be number one for the first time ever. Wow. And that is, and the stadium erupted.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why you want to put scores of other games up there. And I go to other stadiums, and they do a pretty good job of putting scores up on the board and so forth, like that. Well, I think they, some, and believe me, you can sell that. Hey,
I agree.
Big Ten scores brought to you by, boom. And, top 25 scores brought to you by, once every quarter, halftime.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I don't know if people think that way over there. I don't, because I am not, in charge of whatever. Okay?
No, same.
Well, no, the problem is, I've been in the staff meetings, you think you are. Right?
What?
In fact, you want to, normally when you're speaking in the meetings, have you noticed my reaction?
Yeah. You're not alone.
What was the best part of his speech when he finished?
The best thing they did, and this obviously doesn't relate to college. Well, it does relate to college football because it includes the scores of games. Best thing they did in Times Square is add that big video board. They had the news going through everywhere, scores everywhere. Yeah, people stop.
That ribbon up there, yeah.
If people can stop in the biggest city in the world where you're in a hurry and you get flattened every 2 seconds you're walking, There's no question you could put scores in a stadium.
You've been flattened while you've walked in New York?
Oh, I think the street is the safest place to walk in. You're not completely flattened. I've been bumped into quite a few times.
I also noticed that you have a Rolex watch and Oakley sunglasses. So.
I'll never forget. I bought a shirt. I think it was a Hard Rock Cafe shirt, and it was a red shirt. And I said, "Do you have a blue?" And he said, "Oh, give me 5 minutes." I said, No. Just give me the rest. Give me the rest. Oh
God!
Oh my goodness!
Jeez.
That was how many years ago?
Unreal.
Probably 30 plus years ago. And I'm like, no.
God. I remember first time Penn State went to the NIT semifinals and finals, which was 1990. So Deron Hayes and Dave Deggets were on that team. And Deron, the two really good players, and Deron, a terrific player. And of course, his son Kieran ended up being a first-round pick of the Detroit Pistons.
Yep.
So I go out. We went on a Sunday. We weren't playing until Penn State wasn't playing until Tuesday. We went on a Sunday, flew into LaGuardia, bussed over. And so you had a free night. Checked into the Marriott Marquis, right? Your picture was at the front desk.
As usual.
Don't let in.
Don't accept check from this man. I can't believe it.
Right. They wouldn't even accept cash from you. That's what bothers me. I worry about you. So I go out for a walk, and I see Dave Deggets and Deron Hayes. Mr. Jones, you won't believe what we had to pay for our watches. Check out these Rolexes. I can't remember what it was, $10, $20, whatever it was. I looked at him and said, really? So I checked in with Deggets.
And this, keep in mind, is before we knew about, there's plenty of counterfeit goods being sold. This is many years ago.
I knew.
Oh, I think we knew.
Oh, I knew.
But not everybody did. Like, it's not as clear as
I looked over and went,
I think everybody common sense wise looks and says, hey, a $10,000 watch for $10. There's a problem here.
They're 20-year-old kids.
Yeah, exactly. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Like, as a kid, you're not knowing this.
I stood there and went, really? And I said, well, those are really nice.
Yeah. At that time, as a kid, you're not knowing this. I should clarify. It's the 90s, early 90s.
Right. Well, it's 1990.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like okay. So I see Deggets like 2-3 months later. He goes, Mr. Jones, you won't believe what happened. My watch stopped.
The watch stopped working the next day.
I said, and how long did it take? He says, I think before we were done with the tournament. like I saw Hayes 10 years later. His watch was still working.
It's still working? Oh, my goodness.
I saw Deron like 10 years later. His watch was still working. Deggets died in a week. Really? Unreal. Hey, welcome to our world. It's like, it's just the way it is. That's why, I see the stuff you wear, the Oakley sunglasses, the Rolex.
Oakley's at least you can get for a reasonable price. Rolex is not so much. You're talking the cost of almost a half a car.
I'm just telling you.
Oakley sunglasses, you can get a pair. For the lower tier pairs are more than $100 or $200. That's a little bit better than a Rolex, which is going to run you just a few bucks.
You seem to have a pretty good handle on these things.
I do own 2 pairs of Oakleys, legitimate pairs of Oakleys.
And
the advantage of working at a sporting goods store when I was younger.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
the Pirates, they lost a tough one last night, 2-1.
Yeah.
And Jackson Merrill made a phenomenal catch to end the game. And Merrill's a really good player. That's a good young player. It's like we saw Corbin Carroll last year. Like, really good young player. This guy's a lot like that. But they're what are the Pirates now? 1-10 their last 11 games? Now, it could be worse. It could be the Yankees.
Who got smoked by the White Sox.
I mean, the White Sox are now 2-24 in their last 26 games, including an 11-2 win over the Yankees. Really?
It even might have been 12-2.
It may have been 12-2.
They got hammered pretty hard.
Yeah. What a bummer. All right, so 2-24 in the last 26 games. And they destroy the $8 billion payroll.
Yeah, 12-2. How about that?
12?
They tacked on one in the 8th for good measure.
Good. Keep going. Keep going.
At least it was on the south side. Yankees didn't embarrass themselves in front of their fans in the Bronx.
Nope, they just embarrassed themselves on Yes Network.
Yes Network, absolutely.
Where more people may have been watching. I think Tim Benz wrote an article in the Trib, and he said the Pirates were relevant right up until the start of Steeler training camp. Whoops.
Unfortunately, that's
a fact.
Usually how it goes.
That's a fact.
Yep, 1,000%.
The problem that they've had all year is
scoring runs, number one.
Is scoring runs.
Yeah.
That's been the number one problem all year. They haven't had enough offense.
Mm-mm.
And it's not as if they don't have guys that can. I mean, O'Neal Cruz is just he's an analytics guy. Brian Hayes should be a better offensive player.
Should be a lot better. Yeah.
O'Neal Cruz should be a way better offensive player. I think Andrew McCutchen does what he can do, and I'm a big McCutchen guy. I think Brian Reynolds has been tremendous. I don't feel like they get much out of their second base spot. I don't feel like they get much out of their first base spot. I don't feel like they get much out of their catching spot. Those are all things that are that I think are important. That you need to get, I don't mind up the middle. You have to be good defensively. The Pirates are okay up the middle defensively, but okay. Like Hayes is their best fielder, and he's at third. Their pitching staff has been good. Look, I think Keller's really a good pitcher. I think Jones has done a great job when he's been out there. Skeens is special.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, their bullpen's good. I mean, Bednar's
good enough.
Yep. Yeah, he could be a little bit better. And those are. Those are all. I don't know if they have the financial commitment to get a couple of hitters.
I don't know. Because I think they could have done it at the deadline.
I'm not going to sit there and pretend.
And we're not talking Juan Soto type. They could have gotten guys that could have plugged into that lineup and helped him.
Right. And I don't see anybody within. They can't figure out what to do with Henry Davis.
Nope.
And remember, when he was drafted first overall, what did I say on the show? Defensively, he's going to be a problem as to where you put him. His bat may be good enough, but where do you play him?
Yeah.
Now, could he end up being a DH? I mean, because I think his defensive. you're guessing from 30,000 feet. I think his defensive issues as to how he plays games and where he's playing, I think has affected his offense.
Mm-hmm. Obviously the Pirates have Bart, so they have that option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other part of it.
But, I mean, that's where they are. Like, they lost 2-1 last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've not. Skeens in his first year could honestly be pretty darn close to a 20-game winner had this team had offense.
Yeah. So, to me, that's what, when you sit there and look at them, the offense is a big part of it. I think they'd be a little better defensively. I think their starting pitching, for the most part, is pretty good. They've got guys that can go out and get you 6 innings and occasionally 7 right out of the gate and keep you in the game.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for in this day and age with pitchers. We're not into the era of Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax, or even going as far as this. Yeah, this guy is not the guy to compare to the first 2 names I just said, but Al Leiter, where he threw 130 pitches in the World Series. You're just not going to have, or David Cohn, same thing. You're not going to have those days anymore.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, last night, I know this is a totally different level. Spikes won last night.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Neff threw 113 pitches last night. Well, when do you see major league guys throwing 113 pitches?
Yeah, you don't anymore. We've seen pitchers pulled from a no-hitter because of pitch counts.
Paul Skeens.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a friend of mine who was at the game. A friend of mine was at the game. He said,
you just don't do it.
He says it was so disappointing. I said,
completely.
I said, welcome to modern baseball.
Yeah, completely.
It's what they do.
And it typically, and look, I'm not playing GM here, but it typically doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Look at what the Nats did with Steven Strasburg. Did it make a difference? No.
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 I've pointed that out 1,000 times.
Yep.
We're going to shut him down.
Yeah.
Well, shut him down for what reason?
What? Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
no. We're thinking long term. Like, what?
That's ridiculous.
It's like.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And that's. You're not going to. We're not in an era anymore. And that's as simple as that, where you're not, like I said, you're not seeing those guys throwing those pitches. You're not seeing those guys even get the amount of starts they get.
No.
Back in the day, heck, Bob Welch won what, 25, 26 games with the A's, 24 games in 1 year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get that anymore.
Right. So, that is, the Pirates have been fun at times.
Yeah, I agree.
But the problem is that now it happens over and over again. What are people in Pittsburgh more locked in on? Russell Wilson versus Justin Fields or the Pirates?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
That's... Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, absolutely. You turn on Pittsburgh radio, first thing you hear is the Steelers. You hear about Russell Wilson's injury. You hear about...
Well, yeah, because that's what's going to draw listeners. The Pirates don't draw listeners to a talk show.
Not at all.
Right? Because over and over again, when you have as an ownership, the people who are working under ownership doing the best they can with the parameters they have to work with, okay?
I agree.
But when you have ownership that the fan base doesn't feel is committed to winning, I'm talking about that's their perception.
Sure.
The fan perception is that the ownership is not committed to winning. Right? And, perceptions are very difficult to overcome. Look at your hair for one.
That's right.
It's crazy.
That's right.
And that's the perception that they don't want to try.
Right.
Well, you get to August, and guess who's trying? Oh, the Steelers. Hey, we're going to change up quarterbacks. We're going to bring in, we're going to get another wide receiver. We're going to bolster the offensive line. They're going to pay some money to do it. We're going to change an offensive coordinator. We're going to bring in Arthur Smith. They're doing things.
Yep.
They're doing things. We're going to re-sign Pat Frymuth. We're going to re-sign Harris. We're going to give T.J. Watt a big extension. Minkah Fitzpatrick, big extension. T.J. Watt, big extension. Okay? Who gets the big extension with the Pirates?
Not unless it's done early. That's about it.
Right.
Try to do it early to avoid the big payday.
I mean, and that's part of the big problem.
And as strange as it is to say, because they have Andrew McCutchen there who fits this mold perfectly, it doesn't hurt to have multiple veterans in that clubhouse.
No.
And that's what, especially now. You're down the stretch of the season. You have guys that are tired. You have guys that are injured. You have to have guys that have been in that moment. There's no question. And I'm not just talking postseason. I'm talking down the stretch. You've played in the game for 14 years. You can mentor these guys. And look, McCutchen does that. There's no question about it, but it doesn't hurt to have multiple guys that can.
And that's the way it is. I mean, look, I went to a Red Sox, and it was a colder day. I mean, it was chilly, no question. It was a Sunday afternoon. They had 18,000 people there. Now, it was late April.
Yeah.
But I went because it was the one time the Red Sox would be in town for the season. And it was also a game. I did it and didn't tell anybody about it because every time I go, you have this list of requests for like souvenirs. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many pirate parrot dolls do you have? I mean, really? It's just unbelievable. But they had 18,000 people there. Now, I know school's not out yet.
Right.
Cold, chilly day, the whole thing. And there was many Red Sox fans at the games that were Pirate fans.
Same with when they play the Yankees. Yep.
When the Yankees go, same thing. And that's an issue when they start invading your ballpark. Well, they're invading the park because people wanted to see the Reds. Half the crowd wanted to see the Red Sox. Yeah. Only half the crowd wanted to see your team.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this from an ownership point of view.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you think they're going to re-sign Paul Skeens?
No, because they're going to try to go early, and he's got an agent that's going to say no.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think so. Not unless the ownership has change of heart where they're willing to spend money in those spots. No.
Yeah. And
when you lose players of that caliber, then you lost arguably one of the top 2 to 3 pitchers in baseball, and Garrett Cole. I don't think there's any doubt about that because you weren't willing to re-sign him.
But they never paid him, I think, more than $700,000 in a year.
Nope.
I mean, you kind of looked at him and went, okay. Yeah. He's clearly, now whether he would have taken their offer, I don't know, because he's become a better pitcher since he left. And that's been another problem with the Pirates over the years. The number of guys that have become, especially pitchers, better after they left. Charlie Morton became a way better pitcher after he left.
Perez, yeah.
Oliver Perez became a way better pitcher after he left. Cole became a better pitcher after he left.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And, of course, I saw the Pirates here for 6 years as an organization. I can tell you why.
Yeah.
The philosophy of what they do in the minor leagues sets pitchers back.
1,000%. And there are pitchers that I watched that I kind of felt like could be very, very, very good pitchers. They set them back and messed around with their mechanics, and I don't think we got the best out of them. Zach Duke comes to mind right away. I thought Duke, talent-wise, was...
Yeah, Duke did a rehab.
Real good, yeah.
Did a rehab here at State College. Yep.
Yeah, I thought Duke was definitely one that, to me, was a guy that I thought, even his first couple starts, he looked like he absolutely had a lot about it, and then they messed with his mechanics and forget about it.
Yeah, but like here in the minors, they were, every time you turn around, okay. I remember they started this kid Summers. I think Summers actually did get to the majors briefly. And they're up in Williamsport. And he starts. And big hulking kid, right? And all of a sudden, in the middle of the second inning, they come out. They take him out. So I'm going to take a commercial break. I looked over at Joe Putnam. I said, okay, I'm confused. What happened there? Is he all right? He goes, nah, Steve, his pitch count was 45 today. And he, at that point, had thrown 38 pitches.
Yeah.
Really?
I can't get into that kind of stuff. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
You know, if Pat Mahomes can only attempt 25 passes, there's a minute to go in the Super Bowl. He's thrown 25. You gonna take him out? Yeah, literally. That's just I don't understand it. I really don't. I understand long-term investments. I get that part. I really do. But it doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying you should go out and throw 100 pitches.
No,
but
not every time. But
you yank them after 38 pitches. Oh my God. But they did that all the time. Now, I remember when Tony Watson made his first start. And Tony had a nice, long Major League career.
Sure
so
did.
Tony makes his first start, and it also was at Williamsport. And he went 5 2/3 of no-hit baseball. And finally, he gave up a hit, and they took him out. Well, look,
that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Right? He'd been pitching in Nebraska. He'd been stretched out. Okay?
But also
Well,
the
that makes
fact that
sense.
he gave up the hit and they took him out. That's the other part of it. You know, that's...
But it made sense.
Yeah. Pitchers are going to tell you, I don't know. I didn't even know I was throwing a no-hitter. They're full of it. They know they're throwing a no-hitter. And that spot, you know, and your name still goes, there's been a lot of no-hitters in baseball history. Your name still goes in those books.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big factor. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything, it was demanded that they had to throw first pitch fastball strikes. That was another one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay.
And great hitters are going to get note of that.
Okay.
Chipper Jones notoriously swung at the first pitch. Bryce Harper swings at the first pitch.
Yeah, no
Those
kidding.
guys, Brad Chipper's in the Hall of Fame. Bryce Harper's heading there. So there's no doubt good hitters get wind of that.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that was another one, too. I sat back and went, what are we doing? It was the philosophy of it that I was like, really?
It makes no sense.
Okay. Little League World Series is starting tomorrow. ESPN, this is the best thing I think they do. I love how they do the Little League World Series.
I agree.
I think they announce it beautifully. They cover it beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they do about it is, to me, it's the best thing they do.
Yeah.
Oh, it may not be something they've invested $2.8 or $2.7 billion in a year, but this is the best thing they do.
No doubt about
and
it.
They should take some cues from how they do this.
Well,
as how they do some other sports. They can't
agree.
do this. Okay. Carl Ravitch, Todd Frazier, Jessica Mendoza, Julie Foti, Sebastian Salazar will be calling the games. And Carl Ravitch does a great job in the Little World Series. They'll also bring in Mike Monaco, Xavier Scruggs, Tim Kirkjian, and Eduardo Perez. The number of times I've talked to Tim about this, Tim says it's his favorite thing he does every year. Loves going there. Now, the Little League Classic is this Sunday night. It'll be the Tigers and the Yankees. So, yes, Aaron Judge is not on the IL.
Yet.
So he'll be able to play. And to say the people in Williamsport are juiced up to have Aaron Judge walk on their field is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Judge is about to become the 5th player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 300 career home runs before he has his 1,000th career hit. I don't think people realize Judge does not have 1,000 hits yet in his career. He does not. But he's on the verge of becoming the 5th player ever to have his 300th home run before he has his 1,000th career hit. Now, Judge is what, 31, 32 now?
He's in his 30s. 2017 was rookie year, 32.
Yeah. So he's 32 years old now. And I know Carson Kelly was going to be a part of it, and then the former Spike got dealt to the Texas Rangers. So he was going to be a part of it. But, yeah, I mean, I've been up to Williamsport to do some games with the State College Spikes this year. To say they're already setting up for the Tigers and the Yankees. They were putting the last time I was there, they had put up the temporary clubhouses, and then they were in the process of putting all the mechanics together for the temporary clubhouses, the air conditioning units, things like that. They weren't in there yet. They had not yet built the video board, and they had not yet built the hitter's background. The hitter's background is exponentially higher than the one that they have there permanently. But this is what baffles me about what they do with this. I don't understand why the video board and the hitter's background can't stay up all year.
Agreed.
I don't understand that. I mean, every year I go there, they've got all the scaffolding there and everything like that to build all this stuff, and they build it every year. Mm-hmm. Now, the clubhouses, you have, that's the parking lot. Yeah. They have to. They can't do anything with that, or a Major League Baseball's headquarters tent. You got to put that stuff separately. But I'm always baffled by the fact that, you put the money in for the field. Major League Baseball already takes care of the field. I don't understand why they can't. I mean, if they're worried about the electronics of the video board, okay, maybe I can buy that to a point. But the hitter's background? The batter's eye? Okay. We're worried about the view? I mean, we're blocking a neighborhood. Okay, great. And the scoreboard, I know they put a new scoreboard up. I mean, just leave this thing up permanently. I mean, you're going to be playing the game there every year. What a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking when it comes to that, you have to hire people to build this. You have to hire to build both items. Just leave them up.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, label me confused. I'm sure somebody will come up and tell me, well, there's a really good reason for it. Really?
What is it?
I'd like to
I don't know it.
I'd like to know what the reason is. The field is beautiful.
Yeah, sure is.
But as you know, that I told you the story one time. I was out in the field talking with a friend of mine, and the ball got loose. So I just walked over onto the grass, picked it up, and just flipped the ball back to the first baseman. Somebody came over and said, hey, you can't walk on the grass. I said, I can't walk on the grass. Really? I said, why is that? He said, it's not good for the field. I said, so my loafers could cause irreparable damage. I said, but you've got 18 guys out there right now in cleats?
In cleats.
Right? And the guy looked at me and goes, just don't walk on the grass. It was one of those moments of, okay, I see your point, but I need you off the grass. Like, okay.
Oh man.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, from a Little League baseball standpoint, like in terms of the World Series, and that game too. The biggest thing that I think ESPN does an unbelievable job of doing is they make it about the kids.
Well, right,
and that's where that is the one thing that I think, that is their moment, and ESPN understands that. I think that is absolutely one of the best jobs they do. I agree with you completely. They do everything they can to showcase those kids, and individually too. The 1 through 9 in the lineup, balance of the roster, they do everything they can to showcase each kid individually.
Yep,
and do an unbelievable job of doing it. I agree.
You know what's interesting though? All the years it's been, I've been to Lomity Field.
I've been to Lomity. Yep.
Okay, I've been to Volunteer Stadium.
I have not seen a game at Volunteer Stadium. I've been there, but I've not seen a game there.
But I've
been to Lomond.
never seen a game at either one of them.
I've seen, yeah. Well, my little league was at the World Series in '97, so so obviously those games.
Right. I've never seen a game there. Now, how many teams have I seen over the years? Oh, I've seen the champions have shown up at Penn State football practices, things like that. So I've met a lot of the teams, or when I'm doing
Spikes
a game,
games.
Spikes games up there. Hey, the team from Uganda's here tonight. Great. Team from Mexico's here tonight. Hey, great. They'll bring by. They want you to meet the kids, so I meet the kids, whatever. And then one year I spoke to the Little League umpires. Hey, could you come up and speak at our luncheon? And I said, sure. I drove up, and it was at Genetti's. I spoke to them and the whole thing, right? Done. Well, I had to get back, so so I didn't stay for the game. So I've never seen a Little League World Series game up there.
I have. Yeah, I've seen them in Lombardy. I've not seen them at Volunteer.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I love the fact that they treat it like any other Little League game where you go to the concession stand and it's like, hey, all right, this is, I mean,
free admission too. Last I knew, at least. I think it's.
Oh no, it's still free.
Is. Yeah,
it's still free. And by the way, Steve Keener, this is his last one.
Okay,
he's retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's retiring after this.
Yep. One big part of this show for a number of years, Sean Carey was like another guy that is very much into Little League.
Sean Carey.
Yep.
Rob Thomas.
Yep, Thomas, another one, yeah.
Gabe Sinacropi. And Sean Carey are the public address announcers for it. And they do great, I mean, they all do great jobs with it. Because, look, I mean, you have to remember, this is now I'm hitting number 12, Jason Lord. Well, it's one thing to do that. Oh, good. So, okay, which players from Taiwan, Japan, name country? How do you say that? And you want to do it right because their families are
there. And that's, again, it's their moment. That may be the only time that name comes across the PA.
Right.
You got to get it right.
Right. I mean, and they're from countries all over the place that they have to take care of that. And those three guys do great jobs. And Rob is going to get the championship game. I think Gabe gets the U.S. championship game, I think. And Rob gets the world championship game. So that's the... but that's, it starts tomorrow. And it's great for the state. It's great for Lycoming County. Great for the area.
Absolutely.
And that's, like I said, one of these days, I'll get myself up there to see a game. I just haven't had
Parking's not fun. Let me tell you that. Parking is not fun.
Yeah, but see, again, your ability to massively complain, because in the end, it's all about you.
That's right.
It's all about you.
That's right.
And I think the first step to recovery is
admittance. Absolutely.
And I got to give you credit. You are admitting your problems.
So that's actually a good point though for those listening. Get there early. Yeah, parking is at a premium. Get there very, very early. That's one thing that is one of the small drawbacks, but still, there's plenty. There is enough that you can do it. You park on a street if you have to. Street parking. Yeah. Last I was there, street parking was free. It's been years since I have been at Lombardy Stadium or at Volunteer. But
I did drive by. I had a speech one time I had to make in Selinsgrove, and I had a Spikes game. So I went up. I was 147 over to 15, and I did go by when one of the games was going on, and the parking was all over the place. And I remember specifically it was this guy that had the hair was going all over the place, screaming at a parking attendant. Wearing a 49er shirt.
I'll tell you, I have a twin. I didn't even know it.
What is this deal? Just keep going. It doesn't involve you.
Florida. One of the big advantages you have with Little League World Series, and I can name, there's a handful of...
What were you upset about that night? You seemed pretty perturbed.
Heated conversation. There was I wanted to meet Dugout, and he was too busy with the kids. That's what it was. I'll tell you. That's what it was. That's what it was. I'll tell you.
Unbelievable.
I assume Dugout is still a big part of it. He's been there for a little while now.
Yeah. Dugout's still there.
Yeah. But the one advantage Little League World Series has, it's one of 3 or 4 that come to my mind right away, is location. You completely tie it to the event. Daytona 500.
Sure.
Masters in Augusta.
Yeah.
And also Little League World Series, South Williamsport.
Right.
Yeah, and that I think is something that is great too, because all the big events, and this is why, for a big reason, and it's not a complete knock on All-Star games, but it's a big reason why some of the All-Star games are relevant, as relevant as they are now. Because for Major League Baseball, for the NBA, that's their one event a year that they have planned ahead. And they'll tell you the location enough that you know whether or not you want to go or not.
Right.
World Series, NBA Finals, you have no idea where those locations are going to be until a week prior. And that's a big thing for them. But yeah, in terms of championship events, you have a couple that stick to one location, and this is one of them.
And you know what's interesting is that they have been able to navigate scandals.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's something where...
Yep. Absolutely. State College was honestly victim of one.
Oh, sure.
Really.
And State College absolutely was.
Yeah.
And and they've been able to get through it. And that's one of the saddest things about sports to me are the scandals they've had.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I find it sad is these are 11 and 12-year-olds.
Absolutely.
You feel like you need to cheat with 11 and 12-year-olds? No offense, it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-mm. No.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's the Little League World Series. Okay, well, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's Little League.
Yeah, it's something else every announcer.
You feel like you need to cheat in Little League?
And that's what sports. Yeah, it's what sports in a lot of ways have become, and it's unfortunate. There are downsides of sports, and you just named one, and that's and you look at. And
I'm not just talking about Danny Almonte.
No,
and so
Philippines cheated how many years ago when they played in the World Series against Long Beach? Yeah,
the Jackie Robinson Little League in Chicago.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You really think you need to? It's Little League.
It's Little League, exactly. And you're robbing a chance of the other kids. Obviously, you really are. You're absolutely right. It does not. And
it's Little League.
No, it does not mean a thing. And it obviously means a world to that moment, to those Little Leaguers. That's the other thing I give credit to the announcers on. Number one, they cover everything. They've been able to withstand that. But the other part of it, too, you see how many times bases loaded, game on a line, player strikes out. Carl Ravitch, just the emphasis. These are Little Leaguers.
Like I said, they handle it.
They do an unbelievable job. Unbelievable job.
I give them all the credit in the world that when it comes, when they sit there and it comes time to show sympathy, they show sympathy. When it's time to show joy, they show joy. Every play somebody's going to be happy, and every play somebody's going to be disappointed, and they strike the right balance between the two. And I give ESPN great credit for that, and Carl Ravitch great credit for that.
Ravitch is a pro, absolutely.
So I just want to make sure that we slip that in there before we get out of here. Now, the part about what appeared to be you at the parking lot attendant, this would be a good time, I think, to apologize. Like I said, I looked over, I went, well, that guy looks familiar. And I thought, you know what? Just keep going. I mean, I got to get to the game. I can't.
But yes, those that are heading.
I think you should apologize.
But To my knowledge, I don't think I've ever gotten into it with a parking lot attendant. I've occasionally gotten into the, hey, I have a pass to be here moment.
So what I saw was a mirage? I mean, I sped up.
You might have.
I sped up.
You sped up. I'd say you might have.
I was embarrassed. I sped up. Oh. Another great moment for you. I don't know what you're thinking. That part where I thought I had the windows down, where you screamed, "Don't you know who I am?"
Oh, jeez.
Right.
That is.
And the parking lot attendant says, "Yes, we do." Dick Girardi and I will do that sometimes. Somebody will redirect us someplace, and Dick will look at me and goes, "Don't they know who we are?" You know, and he's kidding. "Don't they know who we are?" I said, "Yeah, that's one of the problems. I think they do."
Well, that's like when,
we always have a good laugh about that. "Don't they know who we are?" One of us will say it, the other one will go, "Yep." That's one of the problems.
And even on the opposite end of that, not the opposite end of it, they still knew who he was. When they arrested, what was it, J.T. Barrett, Cardell Jones, or Braxton Miller? I can't even remember. Barrett was one in the car because he got arrested. Literally said, "I'm the quarterback for Ohio State." The cop said, "Yep." Slapped the cops on.
Yeah, it was J.T. Barrett.
Yeah, I knew it was Barrett. I just can't remember the other. I feel like it was Cardell Jones, but I can't entirely remember.
I'm the quarterback for Ohio State.
I remember that.
Yep.
Slapped the cuffs right on him.
Remember me, would you?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Another great show today. Again, I always feel like on the road to recovery, the first part is admitting
That's right.
the issue. I brought up what appeared to me, again, I was going about 30 miles an hour, so maybe it wasn't you. It just looks so much like you. And everybody can tell I'm watching the show, the fits of rage. "Don't you know who I am?" "Yes, I do."